Joe Budden seemingly just made a big mistake that is unclear if he can recover from. Joe Budden has pissed off a large amount of his audience for deciding to do an interview with Candace Owens. Like, they're literally on our Twitter feed crying and having a mental breakdown that Joe Budden is having a conversation with Candace Owens. Now, this unexpected link up with Joe Budden and Candace Owens actually derived from when Joe Budden reacted to Candace Owens going off on Ariana Grande.
I feel so bad, y'all. I really do feel bad that one of my new favorite people is Candace Owens. Not politically. I had to clear that up. Not politically. I'm not informed enough on all of that politics shit. And every time I hear her say some political shit, I don't think I agree with it. But when she cuts that shit off and is just a girl, she is the funniest person on the planet. By far. She's like political Azalea Banks to me. Like she read Ariana Grande for filth. Candace Owens.
I'm on adoption.
If you're watching, which you're probably not, we got a seat for you up here. we got a seat for you. Any seat you want. Come up here and let's just do the Lord's work. Let's just tell the truth. You should come up here for Truth Day. And let's just tell the truth about people, man. That was great.
Hey, yo, please, if you get up here, please give me 3 weeks prep so I can prepare properly, so I can have something to talk about and do my job. Thank you.
For sure.
Since you guys expressed that we had 2 weeks notice before Dr. Umar came up here and the people attacking me.
And Joe Budden said that she was one of the most hilarious and funniest people on the internet, and he sent out an invite to her to come on the show. Now, Candace Owens quickly responded back because duh. All right, Candace Owens has been isolated from black media for so long that any invite from black media, bro, she's taking a stab at. So she was really quick to respond back, and she accepted an invite to come on the Joe Budden podcast.
Ooh, Joe Budden, you better have meant it because I was watching. I'm watching. I just watched it again. Actually, I think I've watched it now about 3 times, and I'm going to take you up on your offer publicly. So now you can't do anything squirmish. You can't be like, oh, no, I'm not going to have you. I will definitively join your podcast and we can talk. And one of the things we're going to talk about is why every time any person in black media or any black commenter on in the internet agrees with me, they always have to do that thing in the beginning. Oh, I just want to be clear. I don't agree with her politically. I don't think I agree with her politically. I don't get it. It's like a weird prayer that you have to say so that you'll still be accepted by black people and you're still allowed to comment on black issues as long as you say that you don't agree with Candace Owens. I'd like to know what it is that you don't agree with when it comes to my politics, or why everyone feels compelled to say that, which is why I am so happy to humbly accept your offer. I don't even know where you from. I will be there.
If you hear Candace Owens accepting Joe Budden's invite, it sounds like she's coming to the Joe Budden podcast to talk about politics and to spew whatever rhetoric she has. Now, me and Candace Owens have similar alliances politically, but the average Joe Budden audience is probably on the opposing end of Candace Owens' political spectrum. So when the Joe Budden fans were on Twitter kind of going off on him for actually doing this interview with Candace Owens, Joe Budden will create a Twitter space to take calls from his audience where they would discuss the interview. Now, the audience was pretty much pressing Joe Budden for doing the interview and asking Joe, did he press her on her political viewpoints? Joe Budden would cop it and say they didn't talk about nothing political. And that left a lot of people confused because why would you bring Candace Owens on if you're not going to challenge her viewpoints if you don't agree with it? And especially if Joe Budden has been the one person in media who has went off on other podcasters such as Andrew Schultz and Adam 22 whenever they brought on, somebody from the far right to come on their podcast and don't challenge them. So people were really pissed off. Now, usually I'm upset at people who want to live in an echo chamber and don't want to hear an opposing point of view. Usually I'm upset. But when it comes to Joe Budden, man, I am deeply satisfied that his audience is calling him to the carpet for this. Because Joe Budden, if you guys don't know, man, Joe Budden is somebody who has created the echo chamber in hip-hop media, bro. Joe Budden has contributed to an echo chamber in hip-hop media. Joe Budden is the same guy who went off on Andrew Schultz for merely having a conversation and talking to Alex Jones.
For 2 seconds. We don't have to stay here, but I saw something that perturbed me. It irked my soul. I'm going to say it and we'll move right on. Andrew Schultz, love what he's doing, the independent work. It's awesome. Makes his bones with a black man that runs a network called black entertainment or some shit like that. Black effect. Makes his bones there. That black man has done all that he can to build this white dude up, get his name as big as possibly can, something that your white comedian friends failed to do for however many years. And it's been working to a T. Recently, Schultz, and I'm saying this, I'm not educated, I don't follow none of these niggas, but recently I'm informed that Schultz has been doing the smart business move and aligning himself with the Roganers. Sounds like a genius idea, right? So I'm seeing clips now of Andrew Schultz with, what's his name? Alex Jones?
Sure. Yeah.
That's his name?
There's an Alex Jones.
Yeah,
it's
I don't know if
very
that's
right wing.
The Roganer.
Yeah.
He's been on Rogan. For sure.
Yeah.
No.
You say he's extremely right wing.
It's him.
It's him. You know who he is? It's him.
Yes,
I'm
that's
seeing
him.
clips of Schultz with this guy. They're having a blast. They're laughing. They're working. Who knows what they're doing? It disturbs me.
It should.
I get that. I would have a problem with it.
The end.
If you watch the flagrant interview with Alex Jones, yeah, they laughed a lot, but Andrew Schultz was actually pushing back on a lot of things that Alex Jones was saying, right? Andrew Schultz was not falling deep into the conspiratorial theories. Like, he was actually pushing back. So Joe Budden, like, even though Andrew Schultz was not 100% agreeing with Alex Jones, Joe Budden was upset and uncomfortable and didn't like Andrew Schultz just talking to Alex Jones. Just talking to Alex Jones. And one can say that Alex Jones and Candace Owens have similar viewpoints, if not identical viewpoints, right? Joe Budden has a history of this, right? Remember when Joe Budden, I guess, went off on Adam 22 for doing an interview with Richard Spencer? Now, here's the thing, right? Richard Spencer and Candace Owens have similar viewpoints as well, right? Candace Owens is called a neo-Nazi at times. Richard Spencer is a neo-Nazi, right? Candace Owens can be called a white supremacist. Richard Spencer is probably a white supremacist, all right? So both of them are categorized, according to Joe Budden's audience, not me, but according to Joe Budden's audience, Candace Owens and Richard Spencer are of the same ilk and tier. So Joe Budden and his crew, went off on Adam and went off on No Jumper for now pushing back on Richard Spencer.
Him about on this podcast, which is milking the hip hop culture dry for every penny that you can, and then making a pivot and disassociating yourself and
going to Nazis,
bruh. That is exactly what I've said.
And handling Nazi people with more care than you handle the rappers.
Yep. For you to have a whole staff of black people working for you, just to interview the Nazi in a polite way. Like, if you interviewed the Nazi, you should give him the smoke. Yeah. Right? Yeah. But if you laughing at slavery jokes, or if you laughing at any negative thing that he's saying about a culture that represents what you've made your fortune off of, that is disgusting, my nigga.
Very disgusting.
And that is what I've been saying, that these white people have the privilege of discarding the black culture at their leisure once they up and once they rich.
But are we going to blame?
Now, according to Joe Budden, when he did a Candace Owens interview, he left all his black employees at home. He interviewed Candace Owens by himself. And when he interviewed her, to Joe Budden's own admission, he didn't push back on her. It wasn't a political thing. They just came, laughed, joked, and had a good time. So if Joe Budden was mad at No Jumper and Adam for now pushing back on Richard Spencer, even though Richard Spencer started off the interview apologizing for everything he did in the past, listen, I'm not mad at him for having that opinion, right? Nor am I mad at Joe Budden for interviewing Candace Owens. I'm actually happy about it. I want to see that conversation, and I'm going to pay that $20 a month to watch it on Patreon. But if I'm listening to you give your opinion for a living, the least I can ask of you is to be morally consistent, right? If Joe Budden has a stance when it comes to interviewing neo-Nazis and right-wingers and giving pushback when you do, then I would expect for Joe Budden to be morally consistent and push back on Candace Owens. As he has admitted, he doesn't agree with her political points. So why give her a cupcake interview if you have admitted that you disagreed? Is Joe Budden afraid or scared to battle out, with Candace Owens intellectually? Do he not think he's smart enough to withstand her? Well, if you don't think you're smart enough to have a conversation with Candace Owens and go back and forth and battle her, then you probably shouldn't be interviewing her. But again, I love it. He interviewed her, but I just want for people who give opinions for a living, man, to be morally consistent when it comes to these issues, man. But y'all let me know in the comment section, what do you guys think? And if you're still watching, click on this video right here to find out why Meek Mill's just messed up really bad. Like, Meek Mill just got exposed for the unthinkable, and his career is absolutely over. Click on this video here to find out what I'm talking about. I'm out of here, folks.